Good day, everyone. Good day, everyone. Depending on where you are hearing me from or plugging in from, right? As you all know, my name is Crown Forex Tips, and I always give you guys tips back to back when it comes to the Forex market itself. When it comes to how to trade Forex itself. So what I have for you guys today is how to use trend line effectively and perfectly, because I noticed that most newbies that are just coming into the Forex market, they misuse the trend line. So I'm putting this together to actually enlighten you guys on how to use the trend line effectively, right? On how to use the trend line effectively and how to make the best out of the trend line for you to be more profitable in the Forex market. So I'll try as much as possible to make this video as short as possible, right? And to make it more enlightening for you guys, and also so that you guys can grab one or two things from this video, right? So without wasting much of time, let's go quickly into what I have for you guys today, right? So basically, when it comes to trend line, I trade trend line in two ways. Let me put it that way, right? I trade trend line in two ways, right? As you all know, I and my team, the way we trade trend line, right? The way I teach my students on how to use our trend line effectively, right? Is two ways, right? The first one is a touch on the trend line. And the second way is the break and retest of the trend line, right? So let me come again. The first way I trade my trend line is a touch, right? A touch. So in this video, you will know when to enter the trade and when the trade gets to that touch, right? So just sit back, grab a coffee if you are a coffee fan, right? Grab a coffee, or you grab a water, right? Just relax as we move on. So like I said, how I trade and how I teach my students on how to trade a trend line is the first part of it is a touch, right, on the trend line. And the second part of it is a break and retest on the trend line. A break and retest happens when the market is about to change the structure of the market, right? So I will be showing you how to trade or how to use the trend line in these two different ways, right? So let's delve into it. I'll go right now into the chart and show you guys on how you can easily identify it and trade it perfectly without stress, without any stress, without wasting much of time or analyzing anything, right? So let's just go into it, right? So what I have right now is a GBP USD that happens some days back. That's like 2 or 3 days back, right? So the first aspect that I personally trade a trend line is a touch, right? A touch. Whenever I see a touch, I make use of that touch, right, of the trend line. So what do I mean by touch? You need to understand the structure of the market first. By understanding the structure of the market, you know that, this market is on a bearish move, or this market is on a bullish move, right? So if you can understand the structure of the market, looking at this GBP USD on 1 hour time frame, right, you will understand that the market is actually on a bearish move, right? From the up to the bottom, right? It's actually on a bearish move. So that's exactly the structure of the market, the higher, the lower high and the lower low when it comes to the bearish move, right? So that's the structure of the market. But when the market got here, you notice something. When the market got to this point, you notice something, that the market started changing the structure from the higher low to lower low. It started changing the structure from the back to higher high and higher low, right? So if you look at this structure from here, here is a low, right? It created a high, come back to created a higher low, right? Created a high, right? Come back to create a low, which is also the same low with the previous low, right? So that shows that the market is creating something from this position. So if you understand the market structure, right, you know that the market is about to change out one or two things with it, which is the structure. So grabbing your trend line, once you trace the trend line from this low to this point, right? This is the next point. So if you are making use of your trend line, you need to understand something, right? You must have a 2 points, right? You must have a 2 points for you to say that this market is creating a structure, or is creating a new structure, right? So once you have that 2 points, you can say that, oh, you have a trend line. So if you, from this point to this point, you can see that we have a 2 point already. Here is the first point, and here is the second point, right? So if you extend this trend line, right? If you extend this trend line, let's go to the 4 hours time frame, right? Let's go to the 4 hours time frame. If you extend this trend line, you see that here is your first touch, right? Here is your first touch, and here is your second touch, right? So this is your first touch, and this is your second touch, right? So on the 4 hours time frame, you can see that even the market presently, even the market is trying to do something presently. That is, the market is trying to respect this trend line, right? The market is about to respect this trend line, but that is not what I have for you guys today. What I have for you guys today is how to effectively use the trend line, right, to be profitable in the market. So let's go to the 1 hour time frame and see what actually happened, right? So you can see on 1 hour time frame, these are first touch. You can see these are second touch. To me, these are second touch, because once you go on a lower time frame, you can see a week, right? You can see a week here. You can see a week here, right? But once you go on a lower time frame, you see that this week created something, right? So we don't need to waste much time on that. Just know that any week you see on a higher time frame did something on the lower time frame, right? So I would count this as my second touch, right? So what you need to understand when it comes to trading a trend line, number one, for me personally, I trade a trend line when it touches the trend line on the third time. Let me come again. I trade trend line when I have the third touches on that trend line. If I don't see the third touches on the trend line, I don't trade. When I see the third touches and I see my confirmation, I trade, right? So here's my first touch, here's my second touch. I personally count this on as my third touch, this, right? So if you grab your this thing, if you grab it, right, and if you grab your target, let's see what your stop loss would be. You set your stop loss lower than the previous low, right? Which is, you can set your stop loss to 100 or 200, right? So you set your stop loss to be here, Let's see, and then your take profit will be your next high. Your next high will be here, right? Which is 1:6 ratio. You can see how marvelous that is. So that is how to use trend line effectively. You don't need to stress yourself. You don't need to do any analysis. It is quite simple, right? Just wait for the trend line, or just wait for the market. Yeah, just wait for the market to do what? To touch the trend line third time and see your confirmation. Once you see your confirmation on the third touches, just enter the trade with full confidence, right? Enter the trade with what? Full confidence. If you set your target, your second take profit will be 1:7 or 1:8, and your third take profit will be 1:13. That's a massive profit. That's a massive profit. So don't forget, always wait for the market to touch the trend line the third time and see your confirmation before you enter the trade. So that is how I trade my trend line personally, and how I teach my students to trade a trend line. So it is more profitable than looking at the chart, wasting too much of time on the chart and analyzing the market. Yeah, you don't need to analyze anything. Just make sure your trend line is perfect. Get the first touch and the second touch, and wait for the market to touch the trend line the third time. Wait for your confirmation and enter the market. So it is very easy and very simple. So the second way I trade my trend line is a break and a retest. So when I see a break and a retest, that means the market has changed the structure, right? The market has changed the structure at that particular moment. So the example I have, when we look at this example, this USD card, right? This USD card, you will notice that on 4-hour time frame, when you draw your trend line, starting from this previous low, right? Starting from this previous low, you understand that before even this previous low, the market is creating something that is on a bearish move, right? So we understand that the market is on a bearish move. But when the market got to this point, the market started creating a structure, right? It started creating a structure, creating a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, right? So that means the market has changed the structure. But on a higher time frame, you understand that the market is on a bearish move, right? So basically, when I draw my trend line from this present low to the lower to the higher low, the lower low to the higher low, right? That's my two touch, right? That's my two touch. So I was expecting the market to get here and see my confirmation for it to be my third touch, right? For it to be my third touch and continue on the bullish move. But what I saw when the market got here was that due to the effect of the news, the market broke the trend line. You can see this massive this massive candle, right? This massive candle. You can see that the market broke this trend line due to the effect of the news at that particular moment, and the market came back to retest the trend line. So when the market broke this trend line, I waited for it, right? I waited for it because what I always expect when the market breaks a trend line is a retest for me to catch a big move in the market, right? So I waited for it to come back to touch this trend line and see my confirmation. So when I saw my confirmation from here, I could see something called a tweezer, right? A tweezer top from here, right? From here. So when I saw the confirmation, right, and you can also see, even it's not even the tweezer top happens to be what on the previous resistance, So if you draw your line, right, you will see that even the candle happens to be on the previous resistance, right? On the previous resistance, if you go on a lower time frame, you see it clearly, right? So you see it clearly. It happens to be on the previous resistance, right? So that gave me a confluence, like an additional confirmation to do what? To enter the market. So when I saw that I am able and I see my confirmation to enter the market, I did what? I entered the market and I set my stop loss from here. I set my stop loss to this previous high, and my first take profit is what? My first take profit is is here. My first take profit is here, and my second take profit is here, right? So that's about 1:5. That's about 1:5 in the market. So that is how I trade my trend line, and that is how I teach my students on how to use trend line effectively. So you don't need to analyze too much. You don't need to crack your brain too much. Just understand the first way of trading trend line is wait for the third touch. After getting your first and your second touch, that makes it a trend line, right? Wait for the third touch on that trend line, see your confirmation and enter the market, right? So the second way you can trade your trend line is wait. Once the market breaks the trend line, wait for your retest and see your confluence, see your confirmation, enter the market, either bullish or a bearish, right? Enter the market so that you'll be able to catch the big moves in the market. So that is how I teach my students on how to trade trend line, and that is how I personally trade my trend line, and it has been profitable for me so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to upload it on my YouTube channel so you can watch it again. If you have not subscribed on my YouTube channel, if you know that this video is actually educative enough, right? If you know that you get something from this video, kindly like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel like I always do. I always give you guys back to back. I don't hide anything. I don't hide. When it comes to Forex, I'm always playing. Most things that most educators will hide from you, I don't hide it. I teach you guys how it is in the market and what the market is saying exactly. So I don't need to hide anything. I always give you guys back to back, as you all know. So if you know that you like this video and you gain one or two things from this video, click the like button right now and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want me to upload or to do any video when it comes to Forex trading, right, drop it on the comments and I will do it for you guys, okay? So I hope you guys enjoy this video. You can watch it over and over again for you to get and for you to understand how to trade, how to use the trend line effectively in those two ways. Effectively without stress, without analyzing, or within few minutes you are done. Within few minutes you are done, right? So thank you guys. Bye for now.